Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on what is essentially a massive, multi-billion-dollar bait and switch that's brewing right now across India's telecommunications sector. Listen, if you feel like your monthly expenses are already stretched to the absolute limit, you might want to brace yourself. Because the era of dirt cheap data, yeah, it's officially dying. Let's dive in and uncover exactly why this is happening, and more importantly, how this whole grand narrative is going to directly impact your wallet. I want you to think back over the last couple of years. What if that unlimited, completely free 5G data you've been happily burning through on your smartphone was actually a calculated financial trap? I mean, it felt like an absolute party, right? You were streaming high-definition movies on the go, scrolling for hours, totally free of any worry about hitting a data cap. But like all great stories, this one has a pretty major catch. The party is officially over, guys, and the bill has finally arrived at the table. So here's the reality check. According to a really definitive, comprehensive Q1 FY27 preview report just released by Centrum Institutional Research, India's major private telecom operators, we're talking Reliance Jio, Bharti Airtel, and Vodafone Idea, are quietly preparing to hit the market with a massive 12 to 15% price hike on prepaid tariff rates. And we're not talking about some distant, far-off future here. This is expected to happen within the next 3 to 4 months. It's wild. This news is already sending shockwaves through the consumer market. But to really understand why these telecom giants are suddenly demanding more of your hard-earned money, we have to take a step back and look at the actual mechanics of the game they're playing. Okay, so let's get into Section 1, the rules of the game, specifically focusing on telecom economics. Right, so before we can truly grasp the impact of this upcoming hike, we absolutely need to understand the ultimate report card for any telecom executive. And that's ARPU, average revenue per user. Basically, it calculates, down to the very last rupee, exactly how much money the company is extracting from a single subscriber every single month. It honestly doesn't matter if a company has 500 million users. If their ARPU is incredibly low, they simply cannot make a sustainable profit, and they definitely can't maintain their massive nationwide technical infrastructure on pennies. To really visualize this, imagine you run a massive citywide bus service. A decade ago, just to destroy all your local competitors, you aggressively launched this crazy promotion offering tickets for practically nothing. Millions of passengers flooded onto your buses, right? You became the undisputed king of local transit. But fast forward a few years, your competitors? Bankrupt. You're now part of a consolidated market. Then the city comes in and demands ultra-modern, hyper-fast electric bullet buses. So you go out and spend thousands of crores building the new infrastructure, even letting people ride for free initially just to get them hooked on the speed. But eventually, the bills come due. You suddenly realize that charging pennies per ride is never going to pay off those massive loans. And because the public literally has nowhere else to go, what do? You raise the ticket prices to claw back your investments. That, in a nutshell, is exactly what is happening with 5G right now. Which brings us to Section 2, the billion-dollar problem, or, as it's playing out now, the 5G cash crunch. So the cause and effect loop driving this hike becomes incredibly clear when you look at the industry's desperate need for cash. For the last few quarters, the dominant operators, who are operating in this highly favorable 3+1 market with Jio, Airtel, Vodafone Idea, and the state-run BSNL, have seen completely muted ARPU growth. They tried this strategy called premiumization. Basically, they hoped you would just voluntarily upgrade your lifestyle, ditching an old 2G feature phone for a shiny 4G smartphone, moving to a premium postpaid contract, or maybe subscribing to high-speed fixed wireless access broadband for your house. But honestly, it completely failed to move the needle. It only raised ARPU by a tiny fractional 1 to 1.5%. They hit a hard structural ceiling. Why? Because the financial cost of rolling out 5G across 90% of all Indian districts was astronomical. They basically gave away 5G for free, hoping you'd buy into those expensive tiers, but consumers just stayed on their cheap plans while soaking up all that free, fast bandwidth. We played them at their own game. And this brilliantly illustrates the landscape right now. This cash crunch is forging a brutally competitive market. This quarter, Jio is expected to add a staggering 7 million new customers. Bharti Airtel is projected to add about 5 million. Meanwhile, Vodafone Idea, they are trailing significantly with just 200,000 new signups. Even though Vodafone Idea has managed to cut down its regulatory dues and expand its 5G footprint to 100 cities, it is fighting a really tough defensive battle. The market is rapidly heading toward a virtual duopoly, completely dominated by just two giants. And historically speaking, less competitive pressure paves the exact pathway for more frequent price hikes. And now, for Section 3, the plot twist, which is a massive structural shift. Okay, here is where the story gets really intense. corporate management isn't just raising prices across the board. They are using this window of market consolidation to completely rewrite the rules of the internet in India. For the past decade, me consumers have been totally spoiled by a flat-rate data structure. Think about it. Whether you're a casual user just checking a few WhatsApp texts or a super heavy user streaming 4K YouTube videos for 8 hours a day, both of you pay the exact same flat fee for a daily data pack. Well, the telcos are planning to phase this out entirely. They're moving towards something called usage-based tiering. In this new reality, data will be treated exactly like a metered electricity or water bill. It's going to be billed strictly by volume. So if you download massive game files or run continuous video streams, you're going to be forced into exclusive, significantly more expensive pricing tiers. These tiers are designed specifically to make heavy consumers directly fund that multi-billion-dollar 5G infrastructure.
All right, moving on to Section 4, protecting the protagonist, which in this story is your wallet.
At the end of the day, headlines about corporate tariffs might sound like dry boardroom math, but they hit right at home. Let's look at the direct, immediate dent this is going to put in your family budget. A 12 to 15% jump means that a standard 84-day recharge plan, one that currently costs around 719 rupees, is going to instantly shoot up to nearly 830 rupees. Now, I want you to multiply that. If you are a household with 4 smartphones running simultaneously, your cumulative annual mobile bill is going to scale up by thousands of rupees. And because mobile connectivity is absolutely indispensable today for digital bank payments, for work, for education, this price hike functions exactly like an invisible, mandatory tax on your household pocket.
But hey, every protagonist needs an escape plan, right? Because no operator has officially executed the price change yet. And remember, these hikes will roll out over the next 3 to 4 months. You are actually sitting in a golden window of opportunity right now. So here's the hack. First, check your financial liquidity. See what's in your bank account today. If you can afford it, you can completely bypass the price hike by purchasing a long validity 365-day annual recharge pack today. By doing this, you legally lock in your data and calling rates for an entire year at the current, much cheaper rates. You're essentially completely insulating yourself from the upcoming corporate price storm. It's a pretty sweet move if you can swing it. So the era of dirt cheap, unlimited free data in India is rapidly drawing to a close. As these operators shift to a usage-based structure to recover their massive 5G investments, your phone bill is about to become a highly managed, heavily monitored expense. The free lunch is officially over, guys. So I'll leave you with this. Knowing that these massive structural changes are knocking at the door right now, will you beat the system by locking in an annual plan today, or are you planning to fundamentally cut down your daily data consumption to save some cash? Let me know what you think, and as always, thank you so much for joining me in this explainer. I'll see you in the next one.